Martin Hyde.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Martin Hyde. I live in the city. I have done for 20 years. Thank you to everybody that's spoken about the police. You know, pay negotiations are sensitive at the best of times. When a city is negotiating with its own police department, it's particularly so because we ask and expect so much from our law enforcement officers. I attended the last round of negotiations between the city and our police department, and they were shambolic. The city negotiating team of a senior SPD officer sat with the city's HR manager and an outside attorney, all representing the city. Having a uniformed officer sat across the table seemed to me to be a bad optic, as it's adversarial at best. Having nobody at the table with the ability to say yes to me looks like bad faith, and why the negotiations have dragged on for 18 months. The union asked for 3% for this year and for last year, and they're once again 2 years out of contract. Most of the meeting was spent with SPD officers explaining the importance of their jobs to the community, which I don't recall the rest of the city's employees having to do when they received over the rate of inflation for the last 2 years, while SPD got nothing. In addition to not having had a raise in the last 2 years and only one settlement in the 6 years that our city manager has been here, the SPD asked why it was that their healthcare insurance contributions are different to the general employees, including the city's ability to increase SPD premiums by 15% a year versus 7% for the rest of the city staff who don't risk their lives every day. Once the SPD had made their request, the city representatives took a 20-minute recess and then asked to reconvene in a month. After 18 months, and when budgets are about to be agreed, there is no reason to simply not say yes or no, except it allows the city manager to give you a budget that understates the obligations the city will have. The question was understandably asked by several officers of why does the city hate its police department? It certainly looks that way when it pays general staff increases every year, including to the $220,000 a year plus city manager. Our city manager earns more than the Sarasota County administrator despite having less than 16% of the population, while SPD officers' starting pay is over $2,000 lower than the sheriff's office. Public opinion on this is clear. I posted the question of who deserved to raise more, the city manager and his highly paid entourage of departmental heads or SPD. Of 5,000 people who viewed the question, not one said he should have more than they should. If it's a big if, the city commissioners don't hate their own police department, it's time that the city commission gave direction to the city manager to settle immediately with SPD for the modest 3% backdated increases requested. It's plain wrong to make police officers beg for what the rest of the city staff have already had for the last 2 years. If we don't, we'll have to presume you don't value our police officers and vote accordingly in 2020.
Thank you. Bob Finger.